2024 was the year of Subaru. In fact, sales were up more than 5.6%. And vehicle lines like the Forester and Crosstrek were leading the pack. Well, this vehicle right here is the 2025 Subaru Outback, coming in third place for the brand. And an interesting fact, over the past decade, 97% of all Outbacks are on the road. And I think what's also interesting is the fact that over the last 16 years, it's been an IIHS top safety pick. So you know they're reliable. But what is it that true Subaru enthusiasts really love about their vehicles? That it's great on the pavement? No, they love to take them off-road. All right, well, hey guys, thanks for checking out Chasing Horsepower and watching this video on the 2025 Subaru Outback. As you're watching this video right now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking to yourself, why in the world is Mike covering a Subaru Outback on Chasing Horsepower? Well, I'm going to answer that question for you. Why Americans are buying Subarus. And I'm going to start with this right off the top. Americans have a total misconception, misperception. They totally have kind of an unhinged thought process of what they think a Subaru owner and a Subaru represent. And I'm here to tell you today that those are somewhat true, but in regards to the vehicle itself, 100% false. So here's why sales are up for Subaru, and here's why Americans love and keep buying the Subaru Outback, Forester, why they keep buying the Crosstrek. Notice I didn't say WRX and BRZ. We'll get to that in a minute. But they're buying this vehicle because it's like a Swiss Army knife. It's utilitarian. You can commute in it to work. You can take it up to the mountains. You can drive it through the snow. You can mount a kayak up on top. You can mount a tent up on top, right? So when we talk about functionality from an automotive standpoint, right? Remove the name Subaru. This thing is going to take you anywhere you want to go in comfort, a little bit of style, and at a great price. So in essence, that's why it fits for Chasing Horsepower, because this embodies all that is great about the auto industry. On-road, off-road, adventure. And that's what a Subaru owner is all about. That one word, adventure. So let's take a closer look and deep dive in Subaru Outback and talk a little bit more about the various things that make this vehicle special. So we can talk about engine all day. We can talk about the 0 to 60 in about 6 seconds. But let's talk about what really gets consumers, and you're gonna chuckle because there's a bunch of fun videos on this. What do consumers look for? Well, in the case of Subaru, they look for symmetrical all-wheel drive. Not four-wheel drive, not all-wheel drive. Symmetrical all-wheel drive. That's what a Subaru owner is looking for in their vehicle. So as we get ready to kind of take this a little bit off-road and play around with it in the dirt, we're going to start with suspension. So if there's one thing we know about Subaru is that they don't just provide you with a great all-wheel drive experience, but they also provide you with the suspension that should go along with an all-wheel drive experience. So starting with ride height, which if you've seen my video on the Ford Ranger Raptor, it's one of the most amazing vehicles on the road. I love that truck. You know what I don't love? It's ride height. Jacking up the front bumper, just coming down off a little bit of a ledge, made it frustrating. You got 9 inches of ground clearance with the Subaru Outback. We're going to jump outside and we're going to take a closer look at the suspension, the wheel package, the ride height, and more. So we've made our way outside with the Subaru Outback, and it is a freezing cold day here just outside of Nashville. In fact, even the puddles are frozen. The lakes are frozen, and it's been this way for a few weeks. But that's part of the adventure, right? So if you're a Subaru owner, there's nothing that's going to hold you back. You're going to get out and you're going to go off-roading and you're going to enjoy nature, even in the midst of the cold. So let's talk a little bit about the suspension system and how it's going to get you where you want to go while off-roading. So we're going to start with the fact that it has what is called symmetrical all-wheel drive. Now, people make kind of fun and chuckle, symmetrical all-wheel drive, you have to call it that. But here's why you have to call it symmetrical all-wheel drive. And this takes me back to the days of the Mazda Tribute, when you hear words like torque vectoring. So here's what torque vectoring essentially is that when you take four wheels and they're on the ground, they're all pulling and pushing and doing this thing motion at the same time. Well, if you're traversing up some kind of terrain and the vehicle detects slippage on any one of the tires, it shifts the usable torque to the wheels that are firmly on the ground, giving you more power or more ability to get yourself out of there. So you've got the symmetrical all-wheel drive with the torque vectoring, and then from a vehicle dynamics standpoint, you know, there's a lot of computer sensors and things in here that are going to help keep the vehicle stable while you're out off-roading. And then you add in X mode with hill descent. So X mode is their hill descent feature where if you're going downhill, the vehicle is going to control itself, it's going to brake itself, it's going to control the gas pedal, if you will. And those are features that are great for off-roading. They give you more confidence. That's what's important, is they give you more confidence when you're out off-roading. And then we talk about that ride height, right? So you're looking at 8.7 inches on the standard base Outback, but if you go with the Wilderness version, which is upgraded, a little bit more off-road featured, you're going to be looking at 9.5 inches of ground clearance. So when you add all five of these things together, it really gives you the ultimate Subaru Outback that's literally going to take you on any adventure you're looking for. All right, so you wouldn't normally think we would get under the hood and talk about the engine with the Subaru Outback, but you know what? There's two engine options, so we're going to. So let's start with the base engine. It's a 2.5 liter, and this is the boxer motor, right? So you got the 2.5 liter boxer motor, normally aspirated, and you're looking at 180 horsepower with 177 pounds-feet of torque. But if you want to go with the XT and the Wilderness versions, you're going to go from a 2.5 to a 2.4, but then you're going to turbocharge it, which is going to give you a lot more power, right? So you're going to be thinking about a little bit more of a fun experience, which this motor is right here. So you're going to be looking at that 2.4 turbocharged motor with 280 horsepower and 277 pounds-feet of torque. So you see how it goes up significantly with those numbers. And that's great because that 0 to 60 time that I was mentioning in the opening, 6 seconds still isn't bad for a vehicle of this size. All right, so we're going to talk about the design and the exterior appeal of the Subaru Outback, and we wanted to take this beautiful beast and put it in the sun. So let's just stop and maybe play some Grateful Dead and look at the exterior of this, or just listen to some AC/DC. I don't know, like, this is just stunning when you look at it, especially here in the light. All right, let's get serious about the exterior design. So let's go down a trip in memory lane. 1995 is when the Outback first debuted. It was a sporty all-wheel drive kind of station wagon. And so every year you'll hear journalists in the auto industry say, oh, it's just so, it's ugly. But it's not. This is a throwback. It is a 1995 station wagon with a 2025 skin. And I think that's what makes it freaking cool. You know, when they first dropped this off, they're like, hey, you're getting a Subaru Outback. And all these things come to mind, but you know what? I'd freaking drive this thing, and I'll tell you why, because they'd offer different wheel and tire packages, so I put something more aggressive on there. Shoot, I may even put a 1 or 2 inch lift on it and make this thing an off-road vehicle, and I think that's what's unique. A couple design features that I want to point out. Of course, this beautiful color. You got LED lights up on front. Subaru will always put plastic, and this is here by design. This is not to be cheap. This is meant to protect the vehicle when you're out off-roading. Rock dings and whatnot, instead of chipping paint, you've got this plastic here on the side. All the way down, it follows the side with the Outback name, and then wraps around the rear wheel as well. As we talked about, it is a wagon, right? So you kind of look here, it kind of extends out longer on the back side of the vehicle, still car-like, and then you got a functional rack up on top. This rack's fantastic. So you got tie-down points on this rack, and it's long. I mean, you want to talk about putting something up on top, you have the functionality to do that as well. Subtle black trim elements on the lights just give it a little bit more of a sporty look. And I think that's what's the most unique, is that if I stand back and I look at this vehicle, man, I got to tell you right now, I think it's pretty freaking cool looking. I mean, even right here, right? The plastic comes down, they've got the fog lights up on front, and overall, it doesn't disappoint me in any capacity. Even adding in a little bit of chrome, wrapping the windows in chrome and your door handles, to me, pretty cool. So it's not all unicorns and rainbows with Subaru. We wanted to also take a minute and talk about some of the other model lines. So when we think about the WRX and the BRZ, which are, louder exhaust, aftermarket, tuner oriented, focused on a younger demographic, right? I think families, I think safety, we'll talk about eyesight, technology in a minute. That's what this is, IIHS, Insurance Institute for Highway Safety. It's a top safety pick. But BRZ and WRX are struggling for the brand, and I'm going to tell you why. So at one time, the Subaru WRX STI was one of the most coveted aftermarket performance vehicles you could buy in the market, where you could tune it, you could put wheels. It was used for drift racing, and we think about rally racing. Subaru having such a well-known name, Sebastian Loeb ripping one of their vehicles. But the problem is they've gone vanilla. They're not all that great. And so when you remove a manual gearbox, that takes the performance away for an enthusiast. So our only exclamation point in there for Subaru is, please bring back the manual gearbox with that STI. And you will sell more. It's really a simple equation. All right, so inside the Outback, there's a lot to talk about. And this is gonna sound funny right off the top. I'm not gonna talk about any of the technology. I'm just gonna tell you how it makes me feel. And sometimes we forget about that when we buy a vehicle. We think about all of the cool features, and we think about how it looks on the outside. We think about how it looks on the inside, but we don't sometimes take into consideration, how does a car feel? When I got my first BMW, it was a 1998 BMW 323i, but it was my first luxury vehicle. And it didn't matter what happened that day. When I got inside, it made me feel good. There's something about this Outback that when I get inside, it makes me feel good. In fact, when I first jumped in it, when it was dropped off for us to test drive, right when I got behind the wheel, I went, it feels good in here. And there's a lot to be said about that. Subaru's taken a lot of time to ensure that this interior is well thought out. Not from just the tech, but just from the way it feels, right? You've got this subtle brown, leather trim that's double stitched on both the black and brown trim with some subtle brushed aluminum look. Your steering wheel has that same kind of feel with double stitching, has a little bit more of a performance feel as well. And that alone starts to create this driver-focused cockpit. And I think the last time I used that was with a Chevy Corvette C8, right? It's all driver-focused. So, you've got this dashboard that kind of contours over the top, but it also falls in line with the steering wheel. And I can actually see the gauge cluster clearly, this digital gauge cluster, right through the middle of your steering wheel. So again, it's all about that well appointment on the inside that gives you that feeling. Even in the back, same thing. Beautiful brown leather look. You're going to have a fabric offered as well, and that's what makes the vehicle special, in my opinion. Let's talk a little bit about technology. So you're going to have an 11.6-inch Starlink multimedia screen, which is this big one right here. Standard will be 7 inches, and that is what's going to come on a base model. But what's unique is the size, right? You're thinking more like Apple iPad look and feel of this, and you can control everything. So all of your climate controls are going to be in here, your entertainment features, your home screen, which it'll bring you to, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, all of the things that you really want in the vehicle from the standpoint of technology are going to be here. So this is probably one of the most important features here in the vehicle, and this is actually for your eyesight monitoring system. So eyesight is offered now on all Subaru vehicles as standard. And eyesight is their safety technology. So when you're driving down the road and you decide, hey, I'm gonna cheat and I'm gonna look at my cell phone while driving, the system's gonna come up and it's gonna be like, hey man, you gotta keep your eyes focused. So it's a great safety feature that can help you in multiple ways. Night driving, during the middle of the day, it's just a feature that's gonna help. And I love that they've made it standard. You're gonna have a digital gauge cluster as noted up here. You can kind of customize the center line a little bit with some other features. Adaptive cruise control will come standard on this. Heated steering wheel, will come standard. Heated and cooling seats are also fantastic. And then to power all of your devices, you're going to have USB-C and USB charging as well. And then you've got your 360-degree camera that'll pop up here. You can see the other Subaru, which happens to be producer Tracy's. It's over there. She loves her Subaru Crosstrek. And then you can kind of customize it, right? So you can spin all the way around the vehicle. You can look at different parts of the vehicle. X mode, that's your ground control. That's going to give you right in front of you with these red lights, this red signal right here. So you have kind of your camera system that'll pop on as well and turn it right back off. Overall functionality on the inside with the Subaru Outback is phenomenal. I like the way it's designed. Gives me a good feel. Sunroof, moonroof up on top. Easy push to open everything up. Just hit that button. It's going to open it up. Close it back up. Sorry, I thought it was automatic. But overall, the inside, it's a home run for me. All right, hey guys, as we get ready to close it out with the price on the 2025 Subaru Outback, I just wanted to share a quick little story, and I promise to make it fast. So my dad's in the market for a vehicle. He's a Harley Davidson riding, tattoo wearing, military veteran, spent his career in law enforcement, and he's looking for a vehicle. And we were exchanging text messages, and for the first time ever, my dad dropped in Subaru into vehicles that he would consider buying. That's a really, really, really big statement and deal for my dad. And for a brand like Subaru, this means that their audience is changing. It means that you're starting to see new types of buyers think about the Subaru as a potential daily driver. My parents happen to live in an area where they have snow. They happen to live in the mountains where they need to get up into elevation. And there is no doubt that of all the vehicles that my dad's looking at, that this vehicle right here, the Outback, would absolutely be a perfect fit for them. So let's talk a little bit about price. You're going to be looking at $28,885 as your starting price for this vehicle. And I want you to think about that and put it into context. The average transaction price for a vehicle right now is sitting right around $48,000. So with this vehicle right here, you are looking at $20,000 difference between the average transaction price and the entry-level price of this. Now, this Outback that we tested right here, fully equipped with the 11.6-inch Starlink multimedia screen and all the bells and whistles, is sitting at about $44,000. If you want to go to the Wilderness package, you're going to pay a little bit more. But I'll just end with this. I'm really happy with this vehicle right here. I think that they did an absolutely fantastic job, and I love the exterior design. The more you know about that history dating back to 1995, it's a true testament to the fact that Subaru, no doubt, should have had a 5.6 year-over-year sales figure for 2024. It just means they're selling a ton of vehicles and that consumers are digging them. Hey, appreciate you all watching this video on our Chasing Horsepower YouTube page. If you want to check us out on some of our other socials, you can do that. I'm on Instagram at It's Mike Caudill. I'm on Facebook at It's Mike Caudill. And I'm also on TikTok. Just Google it up in there, guys. You guys can see all the other vehicles that we're test driving. For now, I'm excited that this hit the Chasing Horsepower website. And if you haven't had a chance to go to our webpage, you can also go there to learn not just more about cars, but even cool stuff that we've come across in the market that might make sense for you. And that's at It's Mike Caudill as well. All right, guys, that's it. Had fun doing this. It's the 2025 Subaru Outback.